Hello, I'm Sudarshana Starshine Star, and I'm very glad to welcome you here on this beautiful Wednesday. It's July 9th, it's 2025. It's also the first day of the full moon, a very powerful full moon. The peak day will be tomorrow, and then the third day on Friday. Every new moon and full moon have 3 days to each of them, in the peak day, the second day, which is what we usually see here in the West listed as, they'll say that's the full moon day or that's the new moon day. That's actually the second day. It's when it's the most powerful. So welcome. I have a YouTube channel called It's the Dazzling of the Light, or you can just go to YouTube and type in at Sudarshana Starshine Star to access my, I think it's 249 clips there now on a variety of topics. Very good, interesting, juicy stuff that keeps me hopping over the years, reinstating, redoing, reinstalling all social media platforms. Oh, it seems like ad infinitum. It's like over and over and over again after they get zeroed out, because truth tellers haven't had an easy time of it. But that's all right, because nothing truly worthy comes without some really heartfelt, disciplined, blood, sweat, and tears effort. Okay, so I begin all of my clips with the 3 opening prayers that are in Sanskrit and Telugu. And this is to bless, uplift, protect, and purify you, me, and this clip. And they are short. What you'll hear are seed words, sacred divine seed words that Mother Divine used and uses to create all worlds and all universes, all of creation. They're called bijaksharas, or bijas for short. This is ancient Vedic knowledge from ancient India. It's not about religion. It's not about the Hindu religion or any other religion. However, it's spirituality. It's for everyone. So no matter what faith you follow, as long as it's not Satanism or atheism, you will just be able to absorb these bijas, these sacred seed words, and they are divine. They do give blessing. They're very powerful. It's your good fortune to even hear them. More and more people in the West will become aware of this ancient knowledge and be able to access it and use it, because it is for everyone. And like my Swami Sri Kaleshwar always said, Sri Kaleshwar of Penakonda, Andhra Pradesh State, India, always said, there are many candles, but the light is the same. We are all, we're all one, and there are many paths to God. So let's not get too stuck on that point. As we know, with all of human history, that has been something that's led us into so much bloodshed and just trauma and terror and all kinds of stuff. And it's really unfortunate. We don't need to keep going on that route, do we? Even though, as I say that, though, I do call out, because all of our religions were infiltrated by dark cult, dark satanic force that we can call the Cabal, the Illuminati, the corrupted Freemasons, the corrupted Knights of Malta or Knights Templar, the Jesuits, the Khazarian Mafia, otherwise known as the fake JEWSs. We can call it the Muslim Brotherhood. We can call it the, did I say the Cabal already? Or the 13 satanic papal royal ruling families that ruled out of Venice and Rome for so long, directly connected to the Vatican. We can call it so many things, but it's just branches of one dark force tree, you might say, that's humanity hating and hates all creations of Mother, Father, God. And anyway, wherever Mother Divine is, Father Divine is. Wherever Father Divine is, Mother Divine is. Father Divine is the consciousness, the divine consciousness, and is also the caretaker of all of Mother Divine's creations, the caretaker of all the souls. And Mother Divine is the actual creator. So she's the one that's creating everything from no thing into thing, everything that you see in matter. But everything in matter is spirit in matter. So that's what spirituality is. And I command on the sacred blood and the healing, powerful presence of Jesus the Christ and Mother Mary to bless you and your beloveds, and me and my beloveds, and this channel, and all of us. I don't just say bless the goodly and godly, because all souls need blessings, and even the unsouled need blessings. So I do call on those blessings, but I'm asking for special protections of the armor of God to be put on everyone, to be fully defended against the trickiness of the shadow side or the dark side. So let's begin these prayers. Om, 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 Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam, Tasmahi Sri Guruvena Namaha. Om Suklam Bharataram Vishnum, Sashivarnam Chatupujam, Prasanavaranam Dhyaye Sarva Vignopashantaye. Om Bhur Suvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhako Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Wonderful. Well, I knew this was going to be a hot summer, and I don't mean temperature-wise, but in the terms of the rocking and rolling. And it really is. I just am saying so many prayers and so much heartfelt, just want to give love and blessings and healing help and call the angels in to help. That, there's the flooding, that this is going to be part 2 of my a clip I just did yesterday, which I forgot to label part 1, but it was called truth about let's see, I'm trying to remember what I called it. Something about the truth about the flooding in Texas, and I put find out. Well, this will be part 2 of that. And if you haven't listened to part 1, I encourage you to do so, because it does very specifically lay out who's responsible for the very tragic and terrible flash flooding in the hill country in Texas, in Kerrville and some surrounding areas, and the missing people, the unalive people, the missing children. You'll find out what happened to some of them. It's really very sad, but necessary to know this. So I encourage you to go into my YouTube channel and listen to what really is the part 1 of this clip. So, but right now, like I'm saying, the flash flooding that's happening in Ruidoso, New Mexico, and it's also North Carolina, has been flooding again since Sunday, as if they needed any more flooding tragedy. And really go listen to the part 1 about the flooding in Texas Hill Country, and you'll really get an earful. And I think it's necessary, even though it's a sad truth. So let me see where I stopped this reading. I was reading from GFL Station on YouTube, a very an amazing message, Pleiadian, that I had meditated, like I said in the part 1 of this series, when that event happened, the Texas Hill Country flooding. I had meditated, and I'd really wanted to know what was going on with this. Was it, what we call Mother Nature? Or was it the white hat cleaning out of some DUMBs, deep underground military bases, or, underground tunnel systems, like they have been doing for so many years, since President Trump first came into office during his first administration. That has been going on with what's called the global, even though I like to say the Earth realm, military alliance of white hats all across this Earth realm. The white hats, the good guys, nothing to do with the skin colors. So white hats, black hats, it means really referring to the character of one's soul and one's heart. And the dark cult, the dark intention beings that are not exactly human. Some of them are, but at the top, there tend to be more hybrid or just fully reptilian. But I've talked about that. You can go listen to my controller series on my YouTube channel and find out more about that. Or look into it for yourself. Don't use Google or Wikipedia. You can hardly get very far with that. Use Bing Brave browser, and from there you can go to like rumble.com or bitchute.com or UgeTube, which is spelled UGE.TUBE. YouTube still has a lot of great stuff on it. You can go to Telegram. There's a lot of things you can look into, as long as you start using an independent browser, so you at least have a chance to get to some information that is not being CENSORED. So back to this about the flooding in the Texas Hill Country. The Pleiadian message was very clear, and they gave very specific information, like I said, that I think you should go listen to before this. But I'm continuing on from the last thing I said from the message was about how the doors were being slammed shut against the cabal, against the ones that were responsible for the Texas Hill Country flooding and all the things that they were doing in a desperate last attempt, because they're really on their last legs here in this earth realm and cosmic realm and the heavenlies battle against good and evil that's been going on now for quite some time. So for the message says, I'll repeat, it says, the storm then was both a desperate grasp at continued dominion and a sign that the cabal's era is drawing to an end. Amidst all this intrigue and conflict, we urge you to recognize another truth. The rain that fell was not solely an instrument of destruction. It was also a bringer of cleansing and renewal. Water is the primordial life carrier and holds the memory of creation within it. Even as the floods raged, the spirit of water was encoding the land with an opportunity to heal. Some gifted seers attuned to the higher planes received visions as they meditated by the swollen rivers. They saw crystalline, serpentine energies winding through the muddy currents, symbols of transformational and rebirth slithering into the very soil. The message from those elemental forces was clear. Out of great trauma came great transmutation. And indeed, look at how the communities responded. Neighbors formed boat brigades and human chains to pull strangers from danger. Volunteers by the hundred showed up to clear debris, deliver food, and share shelter with those displaced. Prayer circles and spontaneous song gatherings took place on waterlogged church steps and in school gyms, filling the air with a counter-frequency of hope and unity. Each selfless act, each moment of genuine compassion, created a potent energy that neutralized portions of the fear waveform the cabal had hoped to amplify. We witnessed how quickly the narrative shifted. Instead of a region wallowing in despair, it became a region rallying in solidarity. Lightworkers among you did your part as well. Some of you intuitively sent calming violet light into the churning retention ponds to help transmute toxins and prevent chemical runoff from poisoning the aquifers. Others focused healing intent on the weather systems, gently encouraging the clouds to disperse and the sun to return. Understand that in higher octaves, the meaning of the storm flipped. When weather is weaponized against the people's unity becomes both shield and solvent. The more hearts that synchronized in service and love, the less fear energy the dark architects could siphon from the situation. What was meant to be a blow to your spirit instead became an opportunity to demonstrate resilience and brotherhood, such as the alchemy of collective consciousness. And I just want to interrupt this to say, because I didn't say it in the part one of this series that I posted yesterday, was I'm quite sure that most of you that are listening to this are aware of, weather warfare and cloud seeding. I'm sure you know that the CLIMATE crisis is a huge scam, a very hideous scam, making huge fortunes for ill-intentioned dark cult and all of their minions. It's such an incredible scam. And that includes, things that I'm sure that are real, like chemtrails, cloud seeding, or HAARP weather modification, and HAARP is spelled HAARP. That stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. That was a DARPA op that came out of DARPA. And it transferred a little bit of information. It transferred from at U.S. Air Force to at UA_systems on August 11th, 2015. And HAARP utilized a high-frequency militarized radiative lasers called DEWS, DEWS, or directed energy weapons, to blast clouds to modify the weather by ionospheric heating. And here's just a little example of one operation. Example Operation Sober Popeye from 1967 to 1972. 2,600 plus missions from at USA Air Force were dispersing roughly 47,000 lead iodine / silver cloud seeding flares. Weaponized rainfall was used to disrupt North Vietnamese military supplies with an increased monsoon rainfall season. And that was Operation Sober Popeye, once again from 1967 to 1972. Yes, they've been doing this for a long time. But as was reported, it wasn't hidden that a couple days before the Texas Hill Country, Kerrville tragic flash flooding, that Augustus Dorico was a 25-year-old Thiel fellow, or Teal fellow. I never know how to pronounce Peter Thiel's name. I guess it's Teal fellow. And Peter Thiel, Thiel, he was a very bad dude, very dark cult, very satanic, linked to Adreno Company, linked to, a lot of evils. And so to be called a Teal fellow is just like a stamp of evilness. But this 25-year-old Augustus Dorico, he was seeding in Texas flood areas 2 days before the flood. Just 2 days. And they called it stewarding the natural world. So I think I'm going to have to do a report on this, like a lengthy report on the government-sanctioned geoengineering that's been hidden in this, like we said, with the CLIMATE crisis scam. And also, I'm going to repeat what I repeated in part 1, that it was on May 27th, 1962, that the foul, satanic, pedo cabal minion called Lyndon B. Johnson, that was vice president at that time before he became a U.S. president, on May 27, 1962, at a commencement address at his alma mater, which is now called Texas State University, he said this: "He who controls the weather will control the world." All right? It's been going on for a long time. All right, so back to the reading. Let's see. The more hearts that synchronized in service and love, the less fear energy the dark architects could siphon from the situation. What was meant to be a blow to your spirit instead became an opportunity to demonstrate resilience and brotherhood, such as the alchemy of collective consciousness. As this drama continues to unfold, we encourage each of you, especially the starseeds and light bearers, to remain both vigilant and calm in your discernment. Yes, observe the patterns. Notice the telltale signs of manipulation, the anomalies in data, the uncanny timing of coincidences, the way public information sometimes disappears or changes without explanation. And that reminds me, I'm doing an aside here, of what's going on with Epstein, the Epstein files and everything. And like I said, I've got to do a clip on that, because what's key importance is what has to be known is who Pam Bondi truly is, who most of these appointees truly are. There are 1.0s and 2.0s, and this is a big topic. So I didn't mean to divert here, but that thing about the way public information sometimes disappears or changes without explanation. Like, yes, Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison for, all these thousands of victims of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, but Epstein didn't have any victims? Oh, really? Oh, there are no Epstein files, really, that were said to be held in Pam Bondi's hand, but now there's no such thing? Stuff like that. Okay, now back to this flooding reading. Share your findings through your alternative networks. Shining light on these shadows is part of your role, but do not let this pursuit consume you or drive you into anger and despair. Ground yourselves each day in the knowing that you are more powerful than any of these fear tactics. Refuse the invitation to panic when you see a story designed to provoke terror. Take a breath and reconnect to your heart center before reacting. We advise practicing what some of you might call aqua transmutation meditations. Imagine every artificially agitated raindrop being restored to its original divine harmony as it falls, so that even manipulated weather water returns to nourishing the earth with balanced energy. You might visualize the floodwaters carrying away not just physical debris, but also psychic toxins, cleansing the land of old stagnant fears. Intend that the earth absorbs only the lessons and higher vibrations, releasing the rest. In practical terms, support your Texan brothers and sisters by focusing on grassroots community-led relief efforts. And I'm including now New Mexico brothers and sisters and continuing with North Carolina brothers and sisters. Yes, grassroots community-led relief efforts. And I'm going to mention one. I'm sure most of you have heard of the Cajun Navy. You can look them up. They've just are tremendous help, and they're very trustworthy, helping so many Americans. Okay, trust your neighbors and local groups over large bureaucracies that may have other agendas. You think? By giving and rebuilding locally, you help ensure that opportunists cannot easily exploit this moment to grab land or power. Infuse every donation or helping action with the clear energy of compassion and sovereignty. Finally, do not overlook the presence of the unseen helpers in this event. Express gratitude in your heart for the courageous souls, whether they wear human uniforms or come from the stars, who intervened to protect life and gather truth during the flood. Even if you do not know their names, thank them and imagine surrounding them in light. Thank you, I'm saying. Thank you. And excuse the noise. I'm on a partial open air balcony and there's street noise sometimes. Thank you. Gratitude is a powerful multiplier of positive timelines. It affirms that humanity will meet these challenges with grace. In doing all of this, you align with the highest possible outcome stemming from the flood. Yes, let's align with the highest possible outcome stemming from the flood. Let's do that. We're that powerful. We can do that. Remember, dear ones, while hidden engineers may plot storms, it is consciousness, your collective free will, and awakened heart that ultimately decides what seeds these waters will sow for the future. Beloved family of light, the waters that swallowed the valleys in Texas have issued a spiritual call to action for every awakened soul. This flood did more than reshape the physical land. It sent ripples through the collective energy field of humanity, calling star seeds and light workers to remember why we are here at this pivotal time. You might wonder, what can I do in the face of such a massive engineered event? The answer begins not in doing, but in being. Our councils in the higher realms remind us that no amount of intellectual analysis or spoken incantations alone can calm an artificially stoked storm. The only force that truly stabilizes chaos is the embodied presence of the living light, the felt nearness of the prime harmonic that some have called God Source. Thus, this inundation becomes a living classroom for the awakened. It demonstrates that talking endlessly about weather warfare or cabal conspiracies will not by itself bring peace. What will bring peace is a group of individuals entering a state of radiant inner stillness amid the turmoil. And I'm going to interrupt to suggest here, just going and being in nature. Go into the silence that's in nature. There's a silence, really you can say there's a silence that you can hear, even though that sounds like an oxymoron. There's a silence, a pure divine silence in the nature. And if you just go in the nature, even if you don't do mantras, even if you don't pray, if you just focus on your breathing and, gaze at the clouds or look at the trees, or listen to the birds, or if you're by some water, watch the water ripple or the light on the water, and just smell the earth. Smell the smell of that earth, that beautiful earthiness, or look at the flowers, kind of waving in the breeze, and just focus on that and settle yourself down into that. It's very powerful. It's a very rejuvenative. It's very restorative. And you really are linking to the sacred and the divine by doing that, because everything is within you. But we do need help in seeing through reflection what we really are. And nature is a wonderful way of accessing that. So back to the reading. When you gather with others to discuss these events, be it around a kitchen table or in an online forum, pause and first cultivate a shared moment of silence and connection to Source. The true purpose of any gathering of light workers is to midwife a palpable hush of divine presence in your midst. In that quiet, solutions and insights will arise organically, and the emotional charge of fear will dissipate. One person anchored in a calm heart can prevent 100 others from spiraling into panic. This is why your first assignment as a light emissary in times like these is beautifully paradoxical. Make your inner peace so tangible that it influences the environment more than any words you could say. Texas received an overwhelming rush of water. Now it needs an overwhelming rush of stillness channeled through human vessels. And let's include North Carolina and New Mexico in that. I'm saying, be one of these still, bright vessels. In practical terms, this means when you hear news of crisis, take a moment to close your eyes, breathe deeply, and call in the sensation of divine peace before you react or share the news. Your centered presence is more needed now than ever. Understand that events like storms, earthquakes, or even societal upheavals are stage props in the grand lesson plan of awakening. Time and again, humanity is shown the duality drama: destruction versus recovery, good versus evil, chaos versus order, so that you may finally transcend the script. In truth, there is only one energy manifesting in many forms, and remembering this oneness is the key to disarming the drama. In Atlantis long ago, initiates had a word for the psychic turbulence that arises when people fought the one and became mired in duality. They called it bar, a kind of shadow static in consciousness. The fearful collective emotions that accompany a flood like this are bar, B-A-R, bar, made visible. How do we dissolve it? By refusing to energize the illusion of two opposing forces. The moment you hold firmly to the truth that only the benevolent source energy is real and present, the shadow of its opposite begins to fade. Try this when you feel fear. Whisper inwardly, only one divine waveform is here, and it is love. Say it again and again in your heart until you feel your spine relax and a calm warmth spreading in your body. In that simple act, you are withdrawing your consent from the drama of conflict. Your brain's alarm circuits quiet down, and even your endocrine system stops pumping out the fight or flight chemistry that contributes to panic in the collective field. So I'm going to end this reading here. There's more. I'll see if I want to do a part 3 on this. But I think it's very good to get that from our reminder from our Pleiadian brothers and sisters. That's a true universal cosmic message that no matter how much, like I say, for thousands of years, the dark satanic forces that we call the Cabal, the Illuminati, the Freemasons, that I said, the Jesuits, the Khazari Mafia, blah, 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 blah. It has been allowed to hold a huge sway in these times in my tradition that are called the Kali Yuga. Y-U-G-A, Yuga means a cycle, and on the earth realm we're always cycling through cycles. It goes like the really light, like the one we're going into now, the next 1,000 years of peace and prosperity before we have a little dip, but we'll recover, I have no doubt, and go back into the highest light cycle. It's called the Sai Yuga, S-A-I, and that's the 1,000 years of peace and prosperity that we hear about And it doesn't matter that some people said we've already lived it. We're going into 1,000 years of peace and prosperity. That's what this great cleanup is all about, ushering us into that. But we're still in the cleanup process, obviously. And so no matter how powerful beings, whether they're, you can say, soulless, they just exist, and they wield some kind of power, or beings with souls that have just, their souls are very, very diminished and tiny, covered with a lot of darkness, a lot of shadow, a lot of, really all of it comes from fear, because the only reason any soul turns away from Mother, Father, God, from the Creator, any soul, is because of fear of not being good enough, fear of rejection. That's where all these power plays and all these things come from. It's that deep, deep insecurity, the not knowingness of what one truly is. And like you said, what is evil? Evil is fear plus ignorance. That's what evil is. And the real ignorance is just not knowing what you really are and what everyone else is. We're all children of Mother, Father, God. So when we remember that, it does help to kind of kneecap the souls that comprise this dark force, the satanic dark force that are, they're doing all their craziness and their deadly destruction and their evilness and their harm. It's very foul. But it's not the ultimate truth. And it doesn't do us any good right now. It can be overwhelming. Like I said, it's a hot summer. It's been a lot of shaking and quaking for several years. And many people, they just don't know where to turn. They're like, I just don't know where to find peace. But peace can only be found from within. It comes from within. But as humans, we've got to find ways, like the Pleiadians were just suggesting, to calm down that fight or flight response, so that we're not just being pumped with adrenaline and these chemicals that just keep us in that reactive state, where when you're in that state, you can't properly, you're not properly using your brain or your intellect, which is your tool. You're not able to think correctly. It's a very cloudy, panicky, chaotic spiral thinking, because you're in fight or flight mode. I'm sure you've know what I'm talking about, and you've experienced people in your family or friends or work colleagues or neighborhood, whatever like that, where you're trying to say something to them very simple and they just can't even hear it. They're just spiraling out, I call it like a poodle running around in circles, even though no shade meant to poodles. I love poodles, but you know what I mean, that little circle that dogs do, and they keep going around and around in a circle, and you're like, hey, stop. Anyway, I'm going to end this here, and you'll see if there's a part 3 to this. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here with me. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I want to join my YouTube channel. It's really kept down. I would love to see it grow more, just to get this information out. That would be wonderful. Thank you in advance for that. I appreciate you. I close all of my clips with a closing prayer in Sanskrit and Telugu. And what I'm saying is, God bless all beings in all worlds. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yes, we're all looking forward to peace, peace, peace. We have to stand. This is a righteous battle. We can't just be apathetic. But we don't have to lose ourselves in this to despair and darkness or fear or anger, rage, depression. You are a divine warrior. You are a divine spark, a divine child of Mother, Father, God. You've got everything it takes. And this is the time of standing, and standing for Satya Dharma Shanti Prema, truth, right action, peace, and love, the love with no conditions, the love that the divine has for us, which doesn't have an if in it, like I love you if, or I love you when. It's an unconditional love that includes everything. I'm wishing that for all of you. So God bless you and yours. I'm sending much love and big hugs to you and yours. I'll see you when I see you. And bye-bye for now.